we start the webinar, we are going to record the session if everybody's okay with that, so that we can download it onto our YouTube channel. So let's just get the recording done. There we go. And we're off. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Warm winters. Welcome to the Filotimo webinar, another Wednesday. We haven't had a webinar in May, so this is quite a nice a comeback for us, and a little introduction for those that are joining us for the first time today. My name is EVY MICHALOPOULOS. I am the founder and the CEO of the Mahi Filotimo Cancer Project. Joining me today, my fellow director, John Kominos. Thanks, John, for joining.
Nice to be here. It's great to be back. We missed you guys. We really did.
We also have Deshni, who's joined us, our other director. Desh, thanks for joining today as well. And we are so proud and privileged today to be blessed with such an amazing guest speaker. We have GRETCHEN MINNAAR, who's joining us from CANSA. And we'll go through to GRETCHEN just for a little bit of an intro. And just chatting about today's topic, which I think is so very relevant in not only in the current times that we find ourselves in, but we're chatting today about counseling and support for those living with cancer. A very relevant topic, John. I think we've all had this discussion at some point in our lives, and we have it on a daily basis. So we thought, who else better than those that do it best, cancer, to give us a little bit of an intro today and presentation. So GRETCHEN, huge thank you for joining us and taking the time to do this webinar with us. A little bit of an intro from you as to who you are, where you're from, what you do, and then GRETCHEN's going to do and share a presentation with us. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hands. We'll get to them as we're going through the presentation. Alternatively, there is a chat box at the bottom where you can type some messages in, and we'll try and respond to those, John, as and when we see them come through. But yeah, other than that, let's head over to GRETCHEN on your side, GRETCHEN. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Evie and John, for this opportunity to share more information on telecounseling and support groups. I want to say it's very cold and rainy today. I'm in Paarl in the Western Cape, and usually we have nice weather, but today it's cold and rainy. And yes, I've studied, because I'm from Paarl, I studied at Stellenbosch University, been a social worker for 16 years and 11 years with cancer. So I'll start my presentation. The importance, today I want to chat to you about the importance of counseling to cancer patients.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the presentation to start from the beginning.
That's it.
Okay. So for those who have heard the words, you have cancer. Can I ask you to please mute?
Sorry, we've just muted. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So for those who have heard the words, you have cancer, this makes you a cancer survivor. A cancer survivor, the definition is anyone who has ever been diagnosed with cancer and is living today. And June month is especially very important to us at the Cancer Association of South Africa, because we also celebrate International Survivors Month. So I'm going to talk you through to what is cancer survivorship. So healthcare professionals commonly define cancer survivorship as a process of living with, through and beyond cancer. Based on this definition, cancer survivorship begins at diagnosis, and that is why we refer to cancer patients as a cancer survivor, although they might only have heard yesterday that they have cancer. Cancer survivors may face physical, we all know they may face physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial challenges as a result of the cancer diagnosis and treatment. And we see it even more with COVID-19 during this pandemic, that it's almost as the challenges has increased. So the old normal life never resumes, but rather a new normal evolves. So at CANSA, we have a cancer care model for survivors. We have the patient or the cancer survivor living with cancer. And this refers to the client that is embracing a holistic approach from diagnosis until commencement of treatment. So this will be mostly our cancer patients in the beginning stages of the cancer diagnosis. And then we have living through cancer, and this refers to the client diagnosed with cancer during and until completion of treatment, embracing a holistic approach. Then we have the patients in the living beyond cancer stages, and there we have to differentiate between those who are in remission, and this refers to the period during which signs and symptoms of cancer have reduced or completely disappeared. And although we have patients that are in remission, we still make them part of our support groups, and we still keep them on our patient databases, also to render a service when the cancer might come back or reoccur. Then we also have the patients in the end of life stages, and this refers to the client with a diagnosis of terminal cancer, and where we also embrace a holistic approach. So we assist and support patients from the living with cancer stage, living through cancer, and then also living beyond cancer stages. So our care model for survivors or cancer patients, the living with cancer, we supply information regarding treatment, regimes, and side effects. Because patients have been diagnosed with cancer and the doctor will say their treatment plan is, for instance, chemotherapy, then we want to educate as part of counseling. We will take on an education role, and we want to educate the patient on possible side effects for chemotherapy that they might experience. We will also assist the client in coping with stages of grief. We know that when patients are diagnosed with cancer, each patient will have a different response to the diagnosis. Some will be angry, some will be in shock, some will be denial, but it will differ for patient to patient. Then living through cancer, we encourage patients to embrace a healthy lifestyle and enhance positive living with cancer. And then we also link them to our support and care offerings that we do have. And because they are also on treatment, we have our care homes, we have our counseling services, we have support groups. So we also support patients in those stages. And then living beyond cancer is the assessment of post-treatment symptoms and side effects. And these are usually the patients that becomes our support group facilitators, because they have walked this journey. They are in a position where they can support other patients. And then we also invite them to one of our events. So we actually invite all our survivors to our Relay for Life event that is taking place on an annual basis. Then end of life is to provide physical, psychosocial, and spiritual care, and to provide support to the family during this end of life phase, and to provide support to the family during bereavement. And now, because we're working mostly virtual, we also see a referral. We get patients that is coming through our info line requesting more information on treatment. and then the family members also become part of our care for the carer support group. And then if the patient die, it will be the caregiver that is seeking support during that phase as well. So that is our model for our care model for survivors. And I think it's important to know that cancer patients and then also their caregivers, and when we speak of caregivers at CANSA, we refer to the family, the immediate family and friends who are also supporting the patients. They experience different emotions. No cancer patient's journey are alike, and each cancer patient and caregiver has different emotional reactions or responses to the diagnosis as well as the treatment. And it's important to understand that, and therefore, because some of the patients might have somebody to turn to, a family member, friends, a religious advisor, or a caring neighbor they can talk to. Not everybody is privileged to have that, and friends and family members aren't always enough, and sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger. I just want to highlight some of the advantages when talking to a professional counselor. You won't have to worry about upsetting them. If I can give an example, we had a mother who died because of cancer, and the dad has taken on the primary role as the caregiver, and then they had teens, a girl and a boy. And it was difficult for the boy to speak to the dad. It was much easier to speak to a counselor, and because the dad is very authoritative, it was also easier for the boy then to speak to a counselor. And then also, the counselor is also a safe space, because the person on the other side, the cancer patient, the cancer survivor, feel that the counselor will not judge them. So they can share their feelings, they can reflect on experiences, they can share challenges, and they also find it easier to sort out and talk about their deepest feelings. So we also see within our telecounseling service offering, and we know that pain triggers pain and trauma triggers trauma. So when people have to deal with cancer pain and they feel traumatized, we not only deal with challenges and issues related to cancer, it might also awaken other challenges or problems that the patient had to deal with or experience in their childhood life or in an earlier stage. So we do get, we just had a patient that revealed that she was also raped, and the first person that she revealed this information to was the telecounselor. And that is just confirmation that because she's going through a painful process, that awakened the painful, traumatized time she went through when she was raped. So we were also available there to assist that patient. And then also patients won't just say something because they think it is what you want to hear. Because we don't know the patient, they can be upfront with us and they can tell us anything. So it is really a safe space. And then I think this is the most important of all. Anything that the patient or the caregiver is verbalizing in the sessions is completely confidential. So this brings me to our telecounseling, which was launched last year on Mandela Day. CANSA has been involved with face-to-face counseling since 1931. And during lockdown, we knew that our patients was high risk for COVID-19, especially the patients that were busy with cancer treatment. So we wanted to protect our patients as well as our staff, and we didn't want to risk their lives. So we launched the Tele counselling service on Mandela Day. It's a toll-free service. People call our toll-free number. You will see it at the bottom of the slide, 0800 22 66 22, and they can make an appointment with a counsellor. They can have a preference for a female counsellor or a male counsellor. And then we also offer this service in 7 languages. We have the counselling service available in English, Afrikaans, isiXhosa, isiZulu, Setswana, and Sesotho, and isiSwati. So we will accommodate patients from different backgrounds, so from different regions. And I think telecounseling makes it so easy for us. I can sit in Paarl and I can support and counsel a patient in the Gauteng region or in the KZN region. And it is amazing how we can make a connection with the patient, although we cannot evaluate their non-verbal expressions, but we are able to pick up on what they are verbalizing. So that is a very valuable service to us. So the range of counseling offered as part of telecounseling includes patients or close relatives, the caregivers, who has just been diagnosed, prior to starting treatment when fear and anxiety are high. I think that is one of the biggest challenges that cancer patients or survivors face on a day-to-day basis. Doctors or medical professionals will say, you have cancer, you have to go for chemotherapy or radiation, and the patient has a lot going on in their mind, and they don't always ask the questions to the doctors. And prior to COVID, they were able to take someone with them for the hospital visits so that that person could ask the questions to the medical professionals or oncologists. But during COVID, it was especially very difficult because then they have to do everything on their own. And then we came in with telecounseling, gave them information, counseled them just to normalize their fear and anxiety also. Also, during cancer treatment process, when coping becomes difficult, patients and also caregivers call our counseling line for support. Once treatment has been completed and normal life has resumed, and we also experienced, like I said previously, that patients experience different emotional reactions in different stages of the cancer treatment. So it's almost like an up and a down. Today they are feeling very well. There's no side effects, for instance, for the treatment. And tomorrow the doctor will tell them that they have to continue with 6 weeks of a different treatment. And then there's also the fear and anxiety again, mostly for possible side effects as well. When patients are anxious before routine checkups or scans, and I have to say that the private institutions are beginning to bring celebration rituals in place to motivate and encourage the patients that what they are going through is only temporary. It's not forever, because a patient might get up today to go for chemotherapy. The next week they don't want to go because they are feeling sick. And patients also tells us during our sessions, if it feels like this treatment is going to kill me, will it actually cure me from cancer? So we do get that anxiety also before patients have to go for the checkups and scans. Also, when caregivers and family caregivers feel overwhelmed and need guidance and support, because we can't exclude the caregivers and family caregivers. People mostly forget about children. The father, for instance, has to go to hospital, and the parents don't give the children any information on what is happening. But then the teacher will call the parents and tell them that the child, for instance, had a fever. And that is a psychological effect that the father's cancer have on the child, and the child don't have information or the reassurance from the parents just by giving information that your dad is only going for a checkup and he will come home. So we also come in with family conferences as part of our counseling and telecounseling, and then also as part of end of life care. People don't always know how to handle end of life care situations. Is something that the close relatives, family members, friends would like to run away from. So we also come in there with guidance and support. After the death of cancer patient, when family needs bereavement counseling and support, and then also the parents of a child who has cancer, and we have our dedicated TLC employees that is offering the telecounseling to our TLC patients. So I just want to play you our video for telecounseling. So that was our telecounseling video. And I would just like to say, for me, it's just great to be part of that telecounseling team. And it's a valuable service offering that we do have at the Cancer Association. We see an increase in people that is requesting the telecounseling service. it's becoming a lifeline, a helpline for cancer patients. If they have nobody to turn to, they call our toll-free number, and our team of social workers and counselors, trained professionals, and also our clinical specialists are here to support them. We educate them. We facilitate challenges that they may experience with their cancer treatment. So we are here for them. So that was telecounseling, which is more an individual, a one-on-one support offering. So now I want to speak more on support groups, which is more a support, a group offering. Yeah. So a support group is also a safe space where cancer patients or caregivers can share their common experiences and also challenges. And at the Cancer Association, we have currently 38 cancer support groups nationally. We have face-to-face support group meetings. Most of them are on hold, or the smaller support groups that is meeting face-to-face is taking place, but most of the support groups is taking place via WhatsApp. Which is also a nice tool because they can check in with each other and still share their challenges and highlights their fears, their anxieties, and one survivor can support another survivor, and we can also share information from cancer side. So I really want to, if there's any cancer survivors, any cancer patients that is joining the meeting today, people do have their fears of joining a support group. So there are also advantages. So I just want to take you through some of the advantages. It's a safe place where people can give and receive support. We at Cancer, we talk the talk, but not all of us has walked the walk. And on the group, we have survivors that might have the similar cancer as the one who is in need of support. We know that a cancer journey differs from one patient to another, but they are there to give support, and they can say what worked for them and what did not work for them during their cancer treatment. Patients will feel less isolated. We have cancer patients that lives alone. Their family members lives in another province. So this is also a useful offering. You can just contact our toll-free number. We will add you to a WhatsApp group that is near to you, maybe in the same province, and the patient don't even have to leave their homes to get the support. A support group is also a safe place where patients feel heard and understood by empathetic people. They develop friendships. Some of the support groups turned into daycare groups where they go on outings or to restaurants. And due to COVID, most of the daycare groups are also now on hold, and hopefully they can continue soon. And they also learn how other people are coping. They share their thoughts and ideas, and they listen to each other in a non-judgmental way. They also become more informed about cancer-related topics such as treatment, side effects, exercise, nutrition, and life after cancer. When I joined the meeting this afternoon, I also saw that Mimi Duplessis, she's also part of the meeting. She's also one of our support group facilitators in Gauteng. And last month during our meeting, we discussed the challenge of not having face-to-face meetings in all our provinces and regions, and things that worked or helped the patients to reflect and share for face-to-face meetings that we contact with us into the WhatsApp support group meetings. And then Mimi shared that they had a wooden heart as part of their face-to-face meetings, and the patient who had the heart had the opportunity to share or reflect or to speak about the challenge that they are experiencing. And when they started the WhatsApp support group, they also had a virtual wooden heart. So the heart still moved from a patient to another patient, and that gave the patients an opportunity also then to share. So thank you for that, Mimi. We also have other online support groups within cancer. We have a cancer Facebook group that is called Cancer Survivors, Champions of Hope, for cancer survivors, patients, as well as those in remission and their loved ones. And the patients and the survivors will post on the group that they are going for treatment, they are scared, or they are celebrating 9 years in remission. So it's different posts that we see within this group. And then also the survivors respond. They also have this connection, although it's a Facebook group, there's still a connection. And I think they become familiar with each other and they still support each other. Then we also have, because we're not forgetting about the caregiver, we have the Cancer Caring for the Caregiver Facebook group for the caregiver cancer patients that has a similar role as the Champions of Hope group. Then we have a Cancer TLC, which is our childhood cancer support for children, parents or guardians affected by cancer. We also have that Facebook group. Then we have Helping is Coping, that is based on the cancer coping kit. I just want to say that cancer coping kit is also part of our Mandela Day planning. We want to distribute our cancer coping kit series to the oncology treatment hospitals and then also support groups. So Helping is Coping is also a support group. It's a 6-week program. Most of our support groups is open groups, but this is a 6-week program which we take patients to different themes, if I can put it like that. What is cancer? What is chemotherapy? What is radiation? The dietary effects of cancer, and then also the emotional side is what we deal with in the Helping is Coping support groups. Then we have our TLC support groups, support for children who have cancer, parents of children who have cancer, or children whose parent or sibling has cancer. We have sharing and caring groups, the open groups. We have a group for different kinds of cancer, female as well as male. And then we have groups of people with the same type of cancer, for instance, breast cancer support groups. And if there is a gap in a region, we also refer the patient, if they have a specific need, we refer them to Reach for Recovery or Bosom Buddies, or is also a support group for breast cancer patients. Then we have the daycare groups. This is a support group mostly for the patients in remission or who are almost finished with their treatments, and they have gatherings on a regular basis at a cancer office or facility or a restaurant. As I said, they socialize, they acquire hand skills in getting medical advice on health issues such as blood pressure, foot care, healthy living lifestyles, etc. We have a daycare group in the Gauteng region, and they almost formed a small committee, and they get specialists on board to assist them with the foot care and the hand skills, and they do medicine and pedis for our patients. And they also link when the patient struggles to get at the hospital, they also support the patients with transport if it's available, to ensure that the patient get the much needed treatment as well. Then we have Cancer I Survivor online support program that guides cancer survivors along their journey via weekly email. So when they log into this program or register for this program, they receive weekly emails, And the same with our Cancer Kickbutt online support program, where the person who wants to quit smoking receives tips on how to quit smoking on a weekly basis. Then we have our Cancer Care Coping Kit audio program that is also the one we base our Happiness Coping support group on. Our cancer fact sheets and position statements, and this is such a valuable tool to have. I think our website is very user-friendly, and when patients do need information, for instance, I went for chemotherapy and now I'm experiencing pins and needles, and then we have a fact sheet on chemotherapy and then also ways how to handle pins and needles. And yeah, just our website, for those of you who don't know, it is cancer.org.za. Then we are also excited to announce that we are joining hands with Netgear, the private hospital group. And on Saturday, this coming Saturday from 10 to 12, we are launching our national virtual cancer Netgear support group. And it's open for Netgear patients as well as any other cancer patient within South Africa. So to end off, I just want to say, if you have the time, you are available, please join our session then on Saturday. Thank you, Evie and John. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Gretchen. And I was watching a bit of the comments on the chat box. And I think somebody from Cancer has responded. Thank you to that. They were just mentioning that the audio from the video that you were playing in the presentation, the sound was not very clear, but we were able to read at the bottom of the screen in terms of what was being shared. But your office has shared information about where to get that link for the video if anybody wants to go back and have a listen to that. It is available on Cancer's website. And also the other question we had was the office hours, Gretchen, for your toll-free. The query was if it's 24-hour line, and somebody has responded, thank you, to say that it's office hours. If you could just clarify for us, is office hours till 4 or 5? Just so that...
Yeah, so office hours are from 8 o'clock till 4:30.
From 8 to 4:30. Perfect.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. So with that presentation and so much information shared, I'm sure we've all got some questions. So perhaps let's go to our audience. Is there somebody that perhaps would like to ask Gretchen a question or raise a question that we can answer for you? You might just need to raise your hands or unmute your speakers. We have muted everybody, but if you'd like to ask a question, please unmute your microphone. If not, we'll carry on. John?
Yeah, so Gretchen, thanks very much. Being involved in the Phyllotomal Cancer Project for a number of years, it's only recently affected me personally. And just to get some kind of insight from you, and obviously the amount of work that Cancer is doing is phenomenal. I applaud you. I didn't realize that you have so many online available programs and facilities available from a counseling perspective, and I really applaud you guys with that, and I ask that we all share this information. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all there, and I'm hoping that Evie is going to agree with me that we perhaps invite Cancer, maybe do a session a month on all the different aspects of the toll-free lines and all the different subjects that you guys offer, so we focus specifically on that.
Yeah.
But I've got a question. And perhaps it's a two-part question. What should we be saying to a family member that's just recently been diagnosed? And what should we not be saying to that family member?
Yeah, I think when people get diagnosed with cancer, it's not only the patient that is going through shock and disbelief and bargaining and denial, it's also the caregivers, the immediate family. So from a personal point of view, my father-in-law was diagnosed with cancer, and the first thing that his son said is, you don't have prostate cancer, it's only an infection. And because the father didn't wanted to disappoint the sons, he didn't go for his treatment because it's only an affection. So I think from a family perspective, I think everybody wants to help. We have the know-it-alls in all of our families. So I think we have to say we are here for you. We are here to access help. For the cancer patients, I always say, because you lose a lot with cancer, it feels like cancer is taking over everything, and the patients, they have a lot of fears, but they also have a lot of losses. So take control of your treatment plan. Ask the doctor questions. Clarify with the doctor, what is my cancer? What is the stage of my cancer? If a doctor tells a patient, you have cancer, they know exactly the staging of the patient, how big the tumor is, if there's any lymph nodes involved, if the cancer has metastasized. So the doctor has all that information. What are the long-term plans or the long-term treatment plans? What are the short-term treatment plans? What side effects can I expect? But it's important to place the patient then in control. Yeah. I think open communication is very valuable when it comes to cancer, to express, to share what the cancer patient is feeling on that specific day. We also teach and educate our volunteers to don't ask a patient, how are you doing? Because they're going through something that's not nice. Ask them, how are they doing today? Don't minimize what they are saying. Just be there to support. And then I think from a caregiver's perspective, they also need information, get information on resources in the region so that the patient can be supported.
And that's so true. Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, Gretchen, thanks for that. What happens if the patient doesn't want to even talk about it? And let's assume it's a form of denial, and they don't want to raise it at all. Do we just skirt around the issue and, you know, it's a lovely day today and the weather's fine? Or, you know, it becomes quite complex, because I think that there's a part of you that wants to talk about it, to try and get an understanding as to where the patient's mindset is at that point.
Yes, yes. So we do have different activities that we do go through with the patients. I like to do the body part debriefing that reflects on the trauma, because when people get diagnosed with cancer, it's a shock. It's the first thing that they experience. So you would like to reflect on, what did you see? What advice did you hear? What gave you stomach ache? How did you feel? What feelings did you have on that day? And then on a later stage, we will do the same exercise, but then we will relate to what the patient is currently experiencing. What have you learned? Something new that you saw in yourself? Because I think sometimes patients, or they underestimate their strength, and then they will say, I never thought that I could do that on my own. Or a caregiver that lost a family member, and the family member were used to taking care of all the household duties, and now the caregiver has to step up and do everything. So we do activities, and then also I have to say, John, I never had a patient that didn't want to explore or reflect on their feelings. I did have a situation last week when I had to counsel a very depressive cancer patient. And I think the depression can be related to a lot of, there was a financial downfall, there's a divorce on the cards, there's cancer treatment, the patient has to work, the oncologist wrote letters that the patient can't go to work, but still this patient the employees is not accommodating this patient. So there's depression. So first of all, I did a risk assessment, because when I did the body part debriefing with the patient, all the answers were negative and very negative. So just to cover the Cancer Association and myself, I did an online risk assessment with the patient, and yeah, she was a risk for suicide, and I did counsel her on that also. And I also informed her of our other service offerings. We do have an advocacy department that will help you with your employee, and also the letter that the oncologist wrote. Maybe we can come in there as a Cancer Association. And then also the pain management. The patient experiences a lot of pain. So we can also come in there with advice on pain management. And then also just telling the patient that you are 55 years old, you have coped and survived for 50 years. So you can do it. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Gretchen. We've got a question from Zaremzi, if I pronounced that correctly. I'm just going to ask you to unmute, Zaremzi. If you'd like to ask your question.
Hi.
Hi.
That's actually my username.
Oh, sorry. It's come up as
Zaremzi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So my question is, my mom recently found out that she's got her breast cancer has metastasized, and her movement has been quite limited, and she had a pathological fracture as well, which recently got sorted out. So obviously her arm is out of action for a couple of weeks. But a bit of concern is that she's spending a lot of time in bed. You know, she's lost a lot of her normalcy in her life. She's had to stop work and all of that. And I'm just really worried about what is she thinking about when she's in bed all day, you know, just thought of that having a negative impact on her. And how can I bring in a bit of normalcy into her life, even in the midst of the situation that she's limited in movement and things like that?
Thanks for your
Besides
question.
reading books, of course, and listening to the radio, but things that can brighten up her day, bring a bit of positivity and excitement into her day.
Thank you. Gretchen?
John, can you please repeat the question? I didn't hear the whole question. I've heard that it's a breast cancer patient, but I lost some of it.
Yeah, metastatic, concerned about her mom's current physical health and state of mind, basically confined to bed, very negative scenario, and obviously worried that this is going to affect her long term.
Sorry, and just to add on, how can she motivate her or make her days, obviously as she is immobile in bed, more joyful or positive?
Have we got that? Is that okay? That explanation?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Fabulous. Thanks.
Remzi, so I think I forgot to say we do also have a metastatic breast cancer support group online, which your mom can join. And then I think the assessment is very important. We need to establish who's part of the household, who's taking care of your mom, to see is it a little bit of depression, or sometimes when cancer patients are being diagnosed with cancer, they have a lot going on in their head and they have no one to talk to. So we also have to establish that. So I think, Remzi, the best would be if you can contact our toll-free number, and that we can set up an appointment, and then we can also link your mom to our service offerings. And then I think we will chat to you also and guide you on how to assist your mom. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you guys a call whenever I can, because during office hours I'm at work as well. But I'll probably during my lunch or somewhere, just get some time to give you guys a call.
Yeah, because we do need to establish if your mom is bedridden, if she's in need of a wheelchair and she don't have one, if that's maybe something that we can assist with. But I think it would be best if you give us a call so that we can have the full picture, and then we can link you to our service offerings and then also guide you the best we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Remzi.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that has a question that we can answer for you? Somebody, here we go.
That's just a thank you from Kim. So Kim, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you to Gretchen for that. Thank you.
And Gretchen, I think, you know, as we're chatting and you know, I'm listening to these comments and the messages that have come through, you know, not forgetting, of course, that June is Survivors Month, and I'm very blessed and privileged to see my champions here today. We have 3 or 4 of them, 4, 5, maybe Catherine and Steve and Raquel and Nicole. You know, these are also individuals that, you know, we always say our champions are those that not even in the face of adversity have survived and are here today to share their stories, and they are so inspiring. And when we see them, we always smile, and we know that their journey hasn't been easy, but yet they have the courage to, you know, to stand up and say, this is who I am. I've been through this journey, or I'm going through this journey, and I have the support group. And I think today, as you've mentioned, you know, the most important thing on this journey is that for me personally, with my journey with my late mom, I wish I had a support group similar to what CANSA offers, or what Philotimo is now also offering to those champions that are on the groups, because I think you get so empowered with information and courage that you are able to feel so confident to ask questions where perhaps in the beginning, when you wanted to ask the question, you thought to yourself, oh, no, I'm not going to ask it because that sounds like a silly question. And you don't want to say something that's not right or embarrass yourself or whatever the case may be. But when you get into a situation where you've got all the support, and you mentioned it in your presentation, that you become so comfortable that you're able to ask anything and not feel like you've been judged or you've asked a silly question and you should know better than to ask that question, and where you're not listening at the consultation, you know, with your doctor. And for us, the most important thing is to encourage those that are out there that are on this journey, that number one, you never have to go through this journey on your own, because there is so much support out there. And for us, our main purpose, as we say, is to make people aware of what is available, because I know when I speak from my journey with my mom, and I was a carer for her, that I didn't quite know where to go, and I didn't understand the normality of what was normal, because all I could focus on was, I've got to solve this problem, I've got to fix mom, I've got to get her up, I've got to get her right, I've got, you know, so I was focused on that, as opposed to taking a step back and saying, as a carer, you know, how do I now overcome this challenge? So these support groups that are out there are so amazing, and the platform to be able to reach such a vast variety of people in different sectors, not only as the cancer patient, but the family, the children, the husband, the wife, the kids, the brother, the sister, the mom, the dad. It's such a wonderful support group that we offer. And I would encourage everybody to be able to share this information, because I think the more information we have, the more knowledge, the more power. And in saying that, John, we've experienced, as we said, with my mom, John has experienced that with his mom now, who's going through that journey of just being diagnosed. And sometimes you don't know what to ask, and you don't know what is the right approach, or what is the right question. How do I make the day better? How do I encourage, as we had the question from earlier on this through the presentation? And these support groups are really amazing platforms. So please, if I can ask one thing today, my take-home message for you is to please share this information. Gretchen, we will also share as much as we can from those groups that you have on our platforms, so that we can make people aware of the different types of groups. And then, John, something from your side before we He starts-
I just want to touch on one thing before we end, and perhaps this is a little going away message from you, Gretchen. Tell me about celebration rituals quickly, and give me an example of a celebration ritual, if you don't mind.
So what the doctors do at the hospitals is they have sessions for the patients. So when they finish with the chemotherapy and radiation, while they are busy with the last session, they will put on the sesh for the patients. And then with Relay for Life, this is one of our fundraising projects that the Americans started 35 years before cancer in South Africa started with Relay for Life. And they have the most special symbolic rituals for cancer patients. So the color of Celebrate is purple because that is significance of royalty and nobility. And we honor the cancer patients for their daily fight over the cancer journey. So we acknowledge that it is a day-to-day fight that they are overcoming. Then we have the color blue that symbolizes remembrance. So we don't forget our patients that died because of cancer. So we always honor and remember them also at our events. Then we have the color red. That is the color of a stop sign. So we won't stop to support cancer patients, and we won't stop educating the public on the warning signs for cancer. But red is also the color of love, and with love, we support our cancer patients.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And as we try to do, the purpose and our goal behind the Philotimor Cancer Project is to create awareness about cancer, its symptoms and its treatment, and of course to raise funds to support our partner institutions and our project. And obviously our aim is to hold the hand of the cancer patient.
Yeah.
For us, that's important, and their family, and to help them navigate through their cancer journey. So we can't do that without you. So in closing, just a quick thank you and a shout out to Bryanson BMW, who are our supported sponsors and partners on this journey with us. And of course, next week, Evie's got a very special guest. You want to tell everybody about that guest there?
I do. And next week, we're going to be chatting to Dr. Tele, who is a specialist radiation oncologist. And we are going to be chatting about young adults and cancer. So Gretchen, also just before we close, you mentioned the TLC, which is your kids facility, and we are so very close to your TLC Nicholas Lodge at the Steve Biko Hospital. We've been there a few times, and we're looking to go back there next week and assist Vera with some winter goodies for the children that are there. Philotimor Kids, thank you. And Philotimor Kids is a new launch to our project that we are looking to empower and educate our little warriors in terms of also making it now their challenge and what is the word I'm looking for? Goal, that's it, goal, to educate the youth, because it's so important that we start education, and as you mentioned, Gretchen, from a very young age, to make sure that the kids understand the signs and symptoms to childhood cancer. So very close to our heart, TLC Center, and if anybody would like to support the outreach that we're doing next week for winter goodies, socks, blankets, hot water bottles, please make contact with us. We are going to be delivering those items next week to Vera at the TLC Nicholas Lodge. So in closing, a huge thank you to CANSA, as always, our partnered institution, the amazing team that have joined us from CANSA today. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Our guest speaker, Gretchen, thank you for a very informative session and being able to share so much information about our support. And of course, a huge shout out to our Philotimor Cancer champions that are on today. Thank you guys, it's so wonderful to see you. And we'll look forward to seeing you all hopefully next week, Wednesday, 3 o'clock, same time, same place. And sending you all lots of love. Please be safe out there. It's a little crazy in Gauteng with COVID, and we need to just make sure we're all safe, but we are here to support one another. We will load the video onto our YouTube channel. I will also share all the details for CANSA, but any other questions that you'd like to ask, you can send us an email. We'll direct it back to Gretchen and the CANSA team. Other than that, John, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you all next week. Be safe. Lots of love.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.